Hello everybody and welcome. I'm going to do a story follow-up on the video I posted a while back called, not too long back, called Hog-Tied and Tased. My neighbor Mark down the road here in Holiday Village was hog-tied and tased by Madison, a Mesa police officer. Real quick, my name is Shelley and I have my own YouTube channel, and a lot of the videos I've done had a personal touch to it. So when I found out about what happened to Mark, I went down, did an interview with him, and produced a video. In the meantime, he told me about this guy named DirectD, and he sent this video off to DirectD. Once that video was done, I went up and looked at that, and he did a great job, so I took some clips out of that and produced my own piece. In this video is when I had the pleasure of meeting DirectD, and so that's how I met him, was through this video, Hog-Tied and Tased, with my neighbor. And in meeting DirectD, I also met Jim Freedom. Mark had gone down to get the police report. He really wants the body cam footage, and of course, that's not getting released at all. I mean, we're talking like 2 years before they even give him that body cam footage. He put in for a police report. Well, so did Jim Freedom, and Freedom ended up getting the police report before Mark. When he went over the police report, he found some discrepancies in the story that Mark had told him when he interviewed him the first time. And it was a real simple one, but yet to him, because of journalistic integrity, it really mattered to him that he got the truth, 100% truth from Mark. Jim had come over and we went down and interviewed Mark for a second time after there was discrepancies in the police report. And the biggest one was that after this guy drove through and Mark had told him to slow down, Mark did actually go over to his house because he wanted to have a word with the guy. And that was left out. I get it. When the police approach him, right away he's being accused of criminal damage. And of course there was no evidence, no proof. They didn't show Mark anything, and so of course he's on defense and he's saying no, because there was no criminal damage. So he is saying that straight up. And then one thing led to another, with him defending himself throughout all of it, where they felt it necessary to do, throw him on the ground, on the rocks, and hog-tie and tase him 3 times. And then on top of that, they took him then out in a body bag, some kind of body bag and a helmet. Understand, Mark is a friend. He's a neighbor. We live in the same community. And I understand completely what Mark was doing. Mark tends to care about the community. And we do have a lot of things that go down in here. And the park management does nothing. They do nothing. Mark tends to be the kind of guy that when he sees wrongdoing, he sees anything that is disruptive to the community, he will approach it and he will walk up and he will have a word with somebody. And I know him to have my back on many situations as well, where I'm dealing with a situation and he has my back. I do consider him a friend, and I do think what he did was necessary, because this guy was not going to slow down. He hasn't slowed down. He's been driving through the very front there at really high speeds a lot, and nothing gets done. So he had had enough and he stepped out and he said, slow down. The guy went into his Spanish mode. Of course, he doesn't speak English, which I'm sure he does. Mark, that wasn't good enough for him, so he went over there and had a word. The guy was hiding in the bushes. Anyway, so I want to play Jim's video because that's really good. Jim did a great job of this video, doing the end of, or explaining, basically all that, and how it is important that when somebody like Jim Freedom comes out for an interview, that you do tell the truth.
I understand why you lie to the cops. Why would you lie to me? I covered a story recently where I reported on a series of events that led to a man being tased by the Mesa Police Department. As I investigated further, it came to my attention that some of the details of my story were factually incorrect. The information I obtained from my records request contradicted what I was told by the person I interviewed. So I went back to re-interview him to ask about the discrepancy. Basically what I'm doing here is I reported a story
and I told them that things happened this way. I told them that your only indication was this, and in reality that's not the truth. So I lied to all of my supporters. According to the police report, it was saying, the police report says that you had went over to his house.
I'm not going to give them any information. I'm not volunteering any information. They never asked about it, so I never told them about it.
Nobody volunteers information to the cops. Why would you lie to me?
When you were here, I don't know why it didn't get brought up. I didn't intentionally say, try to keep it from you. I didn't, I don't know what exactly happened there. I didn't want you to put out a false story, though. That's the last thing I want to do.
I feel obligated for journalistic integrity to get the truth out there. When you're telling the story of what happened, you know that it wasn't just him driving by it right here. You know you went to his house, and leaving that out is a lie, and lying in these situations makes it harder for other innocent people that didn't go over to the dude's house and bang on the door and the cops came over and harassed them. You know what I'm saying? It lessens their situation, it lessens the impact of their situation. So we gotta be vigilant as people to own up to our actions.
Yeah.
We have to we want to hold the police accountable. That's one thing that we talk about over and over. We have to start with ourselves.
Yeah, I walked down to his house, and his truck was parked in front of his house, and he was nowhere to be found. So I knocked on the side of his house, and nobody answered. So I knocked a second time. Yeah, well, he just raised up real slow out of the bushes, and I turned and I was like, "You've been hiding in the bushes this whole time when I'm knocking on the door?" I'm knocking on the corner of the house is what I was doing, because I don't want to go up all the way up onto the porch.
Oh, the corner of the house.
Yeah.
So you never even went all the way up to the door?
No, it was like this. I came up to the corner of the house and knocked on the corner of the house. But I know they asked me about damaging his vehicle, and I know I never touched his vehicle.
Right.
That was something I said. I don't know what you're talking about, because I never touched his truck.
Right. Okay.
And I still to this day say I never touched his truck.
What he lied about does not change the incompetency or the violent actions of the cops. If they had any evidence that he actually did any damage, he would have already been charged and prosecuted. I'm not prepared to say he deserved to be tased. I have trouble picturing this woman and her fully capable partner being in enough danger from this guy to warrant needing to tase him and put him in a wrap.
So moving on to the later parts, I'm not gonna sit here and say that you deserved to be tased. I just wanted to reiterate and go over, according to the police report again, they claim they had you laying down and you were pulling your knees up, attempting to stand up. I want to hear from you. Was there any, were you cussing? Were you agitated? Is there anything you can think of that might have been construed for them to tase you?
No. In fact, the only time I cussed at her was after she said, "I'm gonna tase him." And I said, "You fucking bitch." And then you hear the taser. That was the first time I cussed at her. Okay. And there was no reason for them to tackle me. I mean, if they want to put me under arrest, which was no reason to put me under arrest either, but she said I did criminal damage, so that's a reason to arrest somebody, I guess. So if they're going to arrest me, that's fine, arrest me. You don't have to tackle me on the ground, shoot me in the back with a taser when I'm down on the ground, and then throw me down in the street handcuffed on my face.
Yeah, and the report says something about they used a wrap on you or something.
Yeah, the harness basically that goes around your entire body, keeps your legs in front of you and your arms in front of you, and they put a helmet on me.
So you're saying right here, you were laying flat on your stomach and your feet were straight out?
Yeah.
And that's it? You were just laying there and they were wrestling with you?
Yes.
Mark, don't fight him. Don't fight him, Mark.
I'm not fighting anything. You grab me. I'm not fighting anything. Let go of the wrist. I'm not
God damn it, Jesus Christ, you guys. What are you doing? What are you doing? God almighty.
I'm gonna tase him. You're a little bitch.
No, that's enough. You don't have to do any more than that.
Taser's pipe. Stop it!
So just to be clear, you're saying you didn't attempt to stand up or you didn't make any other movements
Once I
of
was
any
down on
kind?
the ground, I went limp.
Okay.
I said, you do whatever you got to do, because I'm on the ground at this point.
Okay. Because I mean, just remember, I hate to even have to say this, but obviously we're going to get the body camera. You know,
I
so
can't wait.
we would see from another camera cop's angle if you were in
Absolutely.
fact ravaging around.
I'm not
but
worried about it.
okay, that's good. I like to hear that. You know, we cleared things up. We got to the truth so that we can tell the full story now. I can update my viewers about the full story, what actually happened. And like I said, it doesn't necessarily change the wrongdoing of the police officers for getting to the point where they're tasing you. So I'm not trying to take away from that. I just felt it was important to reiterate that we need to be adamant in keeping ourselves accountable to our actions. You know what I mean? You did do something, just say it, you know, especially when you're calling a media outlet and asking them to tell your story. Just, you want to give them as many truthful details as possible, because, you know, the truth matters. You know what I mean? People, you don't be afraid that, oh, I did this, so people are going to think I'm the bad one here. You tell the truth and let people think what they're going to think.
As journalists, it is vital that we dig for truth and accountability, even when, especially when, we're talking to victims of police violence. If we report lies, even small ones, even unintentionally, and we don't correct ourselves, we weaken the strength of independent media as a whole. The state clings to these examples as evidence that free press can't be trusted. There's plenty of government misconduct going on that needs to be covered by independent media. And independent media needs to make truth its highest priority.
You saw my hand open, right? I literally saw you interweave. Yeah, you saw my hand open. Yeah, my hand was open. My hand was open the whole time. Yeah, I'm glad you guys are happy. Hog time. Yeah, hog time. Hog time. Yeah, hog time, you little bitch. Yeah, hog time. Hog time.
Don't grab his wrist.
I'm completely limp. I'm completely limp and I got like 6 people on me. This one hurts. This one hurts, I'm just telling you.
Well, unfortunately, when you're behaving the way you are, we can't make them more comfortable.
Laying limp is behaving that way?
Grabbing onto the officers that are trying to control your hand.
Yeah, okay.
Actually, trying to swing on me is a problem.
A swing on you?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'd like to see that on video. I'm sure you got it on video, right?
I do, absolutely.
Okay, I'd like to see it.
My policy, make sure that I'm
Yeah,
recording at all
I'm
times.
sure. I'm sure. I'd like to see that.
Mark should have been honest with me about this detail because it doesn't change what the cops did to him. They tased and kidnapped him with zero evidence of a crime. I don't like that Mark lied to me, but I understand it. We live in a country where you can be charged and punished for almost anything with little or no evidence. It happens all the time. In this case, I believe it was the incompetency of the police that is most alarming. The terrorist report is full of inconsistencies that make no sense. The guy that called the cops on Mark is a victim of resisting arrest. How does that even work? Page 1 says there are 2 charges, resisting arrest and criminal damage. But page 3 trades criminal damage for interfering with a peace officer, and page 9 only shows 1 charge, resisting arrest. It seems the police forgot what started the entire incident, and they only care about punishing him for resisting them. They don't even care about the other guy's supposed damage anymore. I made this correction because I believe it's important to address discrepancy no matter how seemingly insignificant, and also to encourage anyone that reaches out to media with a story to just tell the truth. Leave your opinion in the comments and let me know what you think, and always seek the truth.
So it's almost like a game to me, and I truly think that's what makes it so fun.
I really feel like that was very well put together and very well stated, that no matter what, the cops had no reason to even, I mean, if they did not have the evidence or the proof, and even still, they really didn't, because there was no I mean, eyewitnesses is still just hearsay. And no matter what, they came over, they asked him, and he said no. That was it. They should have left at that point. And I too, of course, looked at the police reports, and I think what really kind of bothered me and made me feel really sad is that Mark his intentions were good. I mean, he really meant to say, hey, slow down, however you say it. I mean, my language is never good with these people in here either, because they just don't care. They're gonna do whatever the hell they want, and nobody does anything about it. So I get that. But he has neighbors, like because we're not right next to each other. So his right next door neighbors that he considers friends, in the video, they are yelling, and you can hear them in the video, saying he never left home all night. He never left home all night. Well, the police end up going back and taking 2 of his neighbors and interviewing them. And in that police report, they literally turn on Mark and tell the cops something that really didn't need to be told. They didn't need to know that. And so they actually, and that makes me sad, because when you think that this person has your back and is a friend or whatever, and then they just spew it out to the cops without even thinking that through. And Directy had said something, and I feel this is extremely important, is that the fear that is put into so many people, and that's why I believe so many people do comply, or they give up more information that's necessary. I mean, they literally will pour out everything because they're terrified of the police. They are afraid of them. And Mark isn't. Mark wasn't. So when they approached him, he had no fear of them. He was just straight up saying, no, I didn't do that. It's a false report, whatever. I told the guy to slow down, that was it. But really, when you look at the whole thing, this is so really ridiculous. I mean, it is really ridiculous. And why Madison felt compelled to tase him. But it wasn't just her. I mean, there was other cops involved. She did the tasing. It was a simple thing that really park management needs to handle, and they don't. So I went down with Jim. We did the second interview. I filmed it, and Jim, of course, did the interview. Right in the middle of this interview, you hear a car coming, and it is so, you know it's speeding. So I flip the camera, and I catch this prick flying down the road. Of course, he slows up when he gets closer to me, and then he eyeballs me down the road because I have the camera on him. It happens all the time. And I'm telling you, it's not gonna stop until somebody gets severely hurt or killed, and not just a person, but we have a lot of cats in here, and you know I'm a cat person, you know I'm a cat lover, and it's gonna happen. And then only then, maybe something will get done. But I don't know. I mean, at what point in time why do we always have to be doing everything? I would really think this park management would stand up and, take care of some of this stuff. Blown way out of proportion, but he paid for it, right? He paid dearly for it with what he went through. Charges have been dropped. Yes, of course they're going to be dropped. And they're not giving up the footage because they're going to make us wait forever to get that body cam footage, because they know that is going to show right there that none of that shit went down that they claim that happened with Mark. As far as him taking a swing at Madison, yeah, right. But they're going to make us wait a long, long time. But they drop the charges, and it's all just going to go away. Well, and another thing with Mark too is, he has reached out to a couple attorneys, and nobody's going to touch it. Nobody has an interest, because it's like no big deal. They drop charges, just let it go. Let it go. Maybe that's what it takes, is we just sit outside with my camera all day long. No more labels of Karen, okay? Because I'd have your back.